Elijah Vance extends his hand, a man in a bespoke $3,000 suit, poised to close a two-point for $1 billion deal. Serafina Thorne stares at his open palm as if it carries a plague. "I don't shake those hands." Her voice, sharp as a diamond, cuts through the hushed room, amplified for 500 livestream viewers. 3 generations of Thornes built Viridian City. "You think your black money buys you a seat at our table?" A dismissive laugh escapes her lips. "You can wear your fancy suits, wave your billions, but you'll always smell like where you came from." She reaches past him, snatches a pen, oblivious to the phone's silently recording. The world watching. The mayor shifts uncomfortably, eyes fixed on the polished mahogany. No one speaks. No one defends the black man standing alone, a pillar of quiet strength amidst a room full of cowards. Elijah slowly lowers his hand, his face a mask of stone. But by sunrise, every dollar she controls will begin to vanish, to point for $1 billion, gone before she wakes, and she'll spend the rest of her life wishing she'd shaken his hand. Elijah Vance doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. Money speaks. He grew up in Willow Creek, a working-class neighborhood in the shadow of Viridian City's gleaming towers. A small house with a perpetually leaky roof his father, Arthur, patched every spring. Big dreams that stretched far beyond those crumbling walls. His father, Arthur Vance, spent 30 years building Viridian City, first as a laborer, hauling bricks and mixing concrete under the relentless sun. Then as the owner of Vance & Sons Construction, a small but proud company. 3 beat-up trucks, 12 loyal employees, a business card he designed himself. Enough to feed a family, but never enough to truly change a city. Arthur taught his son 2 things. First, Elijah, work twice as hard as everyone else, because they're always watching for you to stumble. Second, time reveals everything. Son, the truth always surfaces. Elijah remembers his father coming home, bone-tired, dust clinging to his hair, calluses like armor on his hands. He remembers the rejection letters that arrived in plain envelopes. He remembers the bids that never won, the contracts that always went to someone else, names he didn't recognize, companies that appeared from nowhere and vanished just as fast. Arthur never complained. He never explained. He just worked and waited and believed that someday, somehow, things would be different for his son. Arthur Vance died on a Tuesday in March 2019. A heart attack, 68 years old. They found him at a job site, sitting against a newly poured foundation, hand pressed to his chest, eyes open to the sky. He left behind a widow, Naomi, who outlived him by 3 years, a son who carried his name, and a watch, silver case, worn leather band. The second hand still ticks, steady as a heartbeat. Elijah wears that watch to every major signing, every deal, every moment that truly matters. When he looks at it, he hears his father's voice. He built Vance Holdings from nothing, Wharton MBA, where he was one of only 11 black students in his class. 6 grueling years at Sterling & Co., learning how power truly moves. Then, at 38, he walked away from Wall Street, rented a small office in Viridian City, hired 2 brilliant analysts and a receptionist, private equity, infrastructure, the kind of projects his father dreamed about, but never got to touch. 15 years later, Vance Holdings manages $12 billion in assets. It's the largest black-owned private equity firm in the Southeast. The Viridian Business Journal runs a profile. The quiet giant of Southern pay. Elijah keeps the article in his desk drawer. He never mentions it to anyone. His wife, Naomi, keeps him grounded. 26 years of marriage. High school sweethearts who lost touch, found each other again in their 30s, and never let go. She's the one who reminds him to eat, to sleep, to come home before midnight. His daughter, Aisha, is 21, a senior at Duke, pre-law. She has her grandfather's stubbornness and her father's quiet intensity. When she believes in something, she plants her feet and doesn't move. There's a photo on Elijah's desk. Faded color, 1980-something. Arthur in work clothes, sawdust on his shoulders. Young Elijah beside him, maybe 8 years old, holding a toy hammer. Aisha as a toddler, sitting on Arthur's shoulders, laughing at something no one remembers. 3 generations, One frame, one unfinished story. The deal on the table is the biggest of Elijah's career. A $2.4 billion infrastructure investment. Roads that haven't been repaved in decades. Bridges that engineers call structurally deficient. Transit expansion that could connect neighborhoods cut off from opportunity for generations. 12,000 jobs, economic ripples. That would reach every corner of the city, neighborhoods like Willow Creek, finally getting the investment they deserve. The term sheet is clean. 36 months of committed capital, Viridian's future written in ink. Elijah reviews the documents one last time. Everything is in order. The signing ceremony is scheduled for 5:30 p.m. Council Chamber B, City Hall. End of the business day, end of the week. A formality before the weekend. His phone buzzes. A text from Aisha. Kill it today, Dad. Grandpa's watching. Elijah smiles. He looks at his father's watch. 5:15 p.m. Less than 30 minutes until everything changes. He straightens his tie, picks up his briefcase, heads for the door. He doesn't know it yet, but the woman waiting in that chamber is about to give him something his father never had. A chance to fight back. Council Chamber B smells like old leather and fresh ambition. The mahogany table, polished to a mirror shine. 12 chairs arranged with military precision. The American flag in the corner. Fabric slightly faded. The Viridian city flag beside it. Late afternoon light cuts through the tall windows, casting long shadows across the hardwood floor. The air conditioning hums, too cold. It always does in government buildings. Something about budgets and thermostats. The clock ticks towards 5:30 p.m. on a Friday. A time slot reserved for meetings designed to be forgotten. Where signatures are rushed, hands are shaken for the cameras. And the weekend begins before the ink dries. At the head of the polished obsidian table sits Mayor Thompson, 62, a political titan with silver hair and a smile that never quite reaches his eyes. His mind is already on the exclusive golf greens. Beside him, the city attorney shuffles papers, a symphony of legal jargon. 2 council members discreetly check their phones, staff clutch tablets, their memorized agendas a shield against boredom. But at the heart of the Finance Committee's formidable arc sits Eleanor Sterling, 58 years old, 22 years on the council. For the last 9, she has chaired this committee, a position of unparalleled power in Heavenwood. She dictates the flow of capital. Every contract exceeding $500,000, every vital infrastructure grant, every transformative development deal, all must pass through her ironclad approval. Her father, Senator Sterling, held this very seat before her, forging a legacy, a network, a system that outlived him. The newspapers call her Heavenwood royalty. Old money, old power, old rules etched not in law, but in the very fabric of the city's elite. She doesn't even glance up when Elijah Vance enters. He notices. He always notices. He files it away. Elijah takes his designated seat directly opposite her. Professional nods are exchanged, pleasantries whispered in measured tones. Historic partnership, transformative investment, Heavenwood's bright future. The words are hollow. They both know it. This is theater. The mayor speaks for 8 minutes. A cascade of generic optimism from prepared remarks. The city attorney summarizes contract terms in legalese designed to impress, not inform. Staff members drone through clauses no one truly hears. Elijah waits. He has heard it all before. He is ready. 5:40 p.m. The moment of sealing the deal arrives. Elijah rises first, his movements deliberate. Unhurried, he buttons his tailored jacket. He walks around the table, a silent procession towards Eleanor. He extends his hand. This is protocol. This is respect. This is how business is done. A handshake to bind the agreement. A photograph for the press release. A moment of mutual acknowledgement, of shared power. Eleanor's eyes flick to his outstretched hand. 1 second. 2 seconds. Her jaw tightens, almost imperceptibly. A micro-expression you'd miss if you weren't watching. Elijah is watching. Her hand remains at her side, unmoving. She reaches past him for a pen. "Let's just get the paperwork done," she says, her voice flat, professional, devoid of warmth. No eye contact. Elijah's hand hangs in the air for 3 agonizing seconds. 3 seconds is an eternity. When 500 souls are watching on the city's live stream, 3 seconds is long enough for everyone to see, long enough for everyone to understand. Slowly, with a dignity that cuts through the silence, he lowers his hand. His expression remains unchanged. His pulse does not quicken. But something deep behind his eyes goes very, very still, like a door closing, like a decision being forged in fire. He sits, he signs, he doesn't utter another word. The ceremony concludes at 6:15 p.m. Staff members hastily pack folders. Council aides check their phones. The weekend begins for everyone else. No one shakes Elijah's hand on the way out. No one meets his gaze. The room empties around him, like water draining from a sink, except for one, a young aide, Marcus Thorne, 36, Eleanor's chief of staff, stands near the door. Ambitious in a way that screams, his phone is angled towards the table, recording. Or perhaps watching the live stream. It's hard to tell. Elijah files it away. He files everything away, in the gallery. 2 older men in expensive suits observe the proceedings. Gray hair, gold cufflinks, the kind of wealth that needs no announcement. They nod at Eleanor. She nods back, almost imperceptibly, almost. A council aide will later recount to a reporter what she witnessed in that moment. Her exact words, her face. It was like she'd been asked to touch something dirty. Elijah leaves at 6:20 p.m. He says goodbye to no one. He walks to his car, a black sedan, its engine a quiet hum of power. The sun is setting over Heavenwood, orange and crimson bleeding across the skyline he's fought so hard to uplift. He gets in, closes the door. The leather seat creaks softly. He sits in silence for a full minute. Then he makes one call. Clear my evening, all of it. He doesn't eat dinner that night. He doesn't watch the clip that's already beginning its relentless spread. He drives home, and he waits. At 11 p.m., he picks up the phone. The clip has already exploded. At 6:30 p.m., someone screen recorded the city's live stream, posted it to the Pulse Twitter with no caption, no commentary, no context needed, just a raw, unedited moment. Elijah's hand extended across the mahogany. Eleanor's hand remaining at her side. The reach for the pen instead. 3 seconds of silence. 3 seconds that will ultimately cost Heavenwood far more than to point for $1 billion. By 7 p.m., 10,000 people have watched it. By 9 p.m., 50,000. By 10 p.m., to 100,000 and climbing. The algorithm, a hungry beast, picks it up, recommends it, spreads it like wildfire. The comments flood in. Did she really just? His composure, though, ice-cold respect. This is Heavenwood. This is how they've always done it. She shook the mayor's hand 5 minutes earlier. I went back and checked. The hashtag forms organically. No coordination, no campaign, just a collective outrage finding its voice, dignitidnied. It trends locally first, Heavenwood, then the entire state, then the entire Southeast. By midnight, it's national. Eleanor Sterling sees none of it. At 7:30 p.m., she's at the exclusive Whitmore Foundation Gala. Oblivious. A gilded gala, champagne flowing like a river, each bottle a week's wages for many in this city. A ballroom shimmering with the city's oldest fortunes, crystal refracting power. A string quartet's soft melody masking the murmur of privilege. The Vances are here, the Prestons, the Crawfords, the Hamiltons, names etched into the city's very foundations. The architects of this city's past 50 years, Eleanor Vance's world, her network, her impenetrable shield. Her phone vibrates in her jeweled clutch. Richard Hayes calling. She dismisses it. It vibrates again, insistent. She takes another flute of champagne. A dismissive laugh at a joke about property taxes. It'll blow over by Monday. She tells the woman beside her. These things always do. She's believed that for decades. It's always been true, until now. Marcus Thorne is home by 8 p.m. The house is a sanctuary of quiet, soft light. Lena sees his face as he walks through the door. She knows that look, the stillness in his eyes, the calm before a storm, the quiet resolve before a monumental decision. She doesn't ask, not yet. She's learned when to push, when to wait. His phone buzzes. Maya calling from Howard University. Dad, I saw the video. Everyone's sharing it. Are you okay? I'm fine, sweetheart. Go study. I'll handle it. He says it with a certainty that chills and inspires. Maya hears it in his voice. Dad, I love you. Get some sleep. He hangs up, opens his laptop, finds the clip. He watches it. Once, twice, a dozen times. Frame by agonizing frame. The extended hand. The deliberate pause, the dismissive glance, the moment her hand drops, never meeting his. His expression remains unreadable. But his right hand moves, instinctively, to his father's watch, fingers tracing the worn leather band, at 10:15 p.m. Mayor Thompson finally sees the clip. He's at home, half dozing, when his chief of staff's frantic call jolts him awake. Have you seen Twitter? He hasn't. He does now. He calls Eleanor Vance. No answer. Calls again. No answer. Leaves a voicemail that sounds like an apology, a desperate plea, and raw panic. The city's PR team scrambles. An emergency conference call. 15 people who should be enjoying their Friday night. We need a statement by morning. Something to get ahead of this. Control the narrative. At 10:30 p.m., Eleanor's team drafts a response. Richard Hayes writes it himself. A carefully constructed, legally vetted lie. Ms. Eleanor Vance has a well-documented sensitivity to physical contact due to health concerns. This unfortunate incident is being taken wildly out of context by those with political agendas seeking to sow division. They schedule it for a 7 a.m. release, get ahead of the news cycle, dictate the truth. At 10:45 p.m., Eleanor finally checks her phone. 48 missed calls, 200 emails. Her face pales under the ballroom lights. She excuses herself, finds a quiet corner, calls the people who truly matter. Control this. They tell her, now. But they don't know what's coming. None of them do. At 11 p.m., Marcus Thorne sits in his home office. His father's watch on the desk beside him. Moonlight streams through the window. The house is silent. Lena has gone to bed. He told her not to wait up. She's waiting anyway. He knows it. Lena appears in the doorway, robe, bare feet, the woman who has known his soul for 30 years. What are you thinking? Marcus doesn't look up. His eyes are on the watch. I'm thinking about what my father would have done. Silence. He picks up the phone, dials a number from memory. Thorne Enterprises and Foundation's Board of Directors. Emergency session. Secure line. 11 p.m. on a Friday night. 7 people on the call. People who trust him implicitly. People who've built a legacy of justice with him. The conversation lasts 19 minutes. He explains what happened. He explains what he intends to do. He explains the risks. The vote is unanimous. At 11:34 p.m., the decision is made. Withdrawal authorized. Marcus dictates the press release himself. 31 words. No accusations. No emotion. No room for misinterpretation. Thorne Enterprises and Foundation is formally withdrawing from the city's legacy development project. Effective immediately, all committed capital is being redirected to municipalities that demonstrate an unwavering commitment to equity, dignity, and shared values. We wish this city well. His assistant types, reads it back, hesitates. Schedule it for 6 a.m. release, Marcus says. Before anyone wakes up. Are you sure? No warning to the city? They might. They didn't warn me either. He looks at his father's watch. Midnight. A new day. Time reveals everything, Dad. At a.m. The city sleeps. Eleanor sleeps. The old guard sleeps. Newsrooms are dark. Social media slows to a murmur. The scheduled release sits in Thorne's system. 31 words waiting. Marcus sets his alarm for 5 a.m. He goes to bed. He sleeps soundly. He knows what's coming. At 5 a.m., he wakes, showers, shaves, dresses in a full suit. Navy, crisp white shirt. His father's watch on his wrist. At 5 a.m., he sits at his desk, phone in hand, coffee untouched. At 5 a.m., he watches the second hand tick, counts down. 6 a.m., send it. The press release hits wire services at 6 a.m. sharp. Bloomberg, Reuters, Associated Press. Marcus pours himself a cup of coffee, walks to the window, watches the sunrise over the city. The skyline glitters gold and pink. The city is still sleeping, but not for long. At 6 a.m., Bloomberg terminal alerts start pinging across trading floors. The awakening begins. The city's financial district, usually a hum of quiet ambition, erupts. Phones shriek, screens flicker, and empty newsrooms fill with the frantic energy of a breaking storm. The story moves faster than any reporter can type. At 6 a.m., the first headline blazes across every digital feed. Thorne Industries withdraws from Harmony. Creek infrastructure deal to point for $1 billion commitment vanishes overnight. At 6 a.m., Mayor Thompson's chief of staff sees the headline on his phone. His coffee cup shatters against the keyboard. A guttural curse escapes his lips. He dials the mayor, voice trembling. "Charles, wake up. We have a problem." "What do you mean?" "Withdrew." Mayor Thompson's voice is thick with sleep, laced with a premonition of dread. "I mean it's gone, sir. All of it. Check your phone. Harmony Creek is on the brink." At 7 a.m., Aisha Kincaid's alarm sounds, a gentle, almost mocking chime in her serene, sun-drenched bedroom, Egyptian cotton sheets, a moment of peace before the world descends. She reaches for her phone on the nightstand. The screen is a blinding wall of notifications. 143 missed calls, 340 emails, 17 voicemails, and one CNN notification that makes her blood run cold. $2.4 billion deal collapses overnight. Her carefully prepared statement, meant to address the city's future, is now irrelevant. The money is gone. The narrative has already shifted. Aisha's hands, usually steady, tremble slightly. She reads the Thorne Industries press release. Twice, 3 times. This can't be real. She whispers, but the cold, hard truth stares back. It is. At 7 a.m., Harmony Creek's finance department calls an emergency meeting. The conference room fills with faces etched with exhaustion and disbelief. People who haven't slept. People who don't understand. People already searching for someone to blame. The coffee is burnt, bitter. The mood is worse. At 7 a.m., Harmony Creek awakens to a nightmare. Morning commuters check their phones at red lights. Office workers scroll through news alerts. Parents see the headlines before dropping their children at school. Harmony Creek starts trending. Social media explodes. The clip of the handshake, or rather, the non-handshake, plays on every local news station. Side by side with Silas Thorne's chilling, 31-word press release. The contrast is devastating. A city's future held hostage by a single moment of defiance. The city's CFO pulls up budget projections, opening the spreadsheet that was supposed to chart Harmony Creek's vibrant future. The $2.4 billion line item, once marked committed, will be marked withdrawn by 9 a.m. Red font, red flag. Red future, 12,000 jobs gone. Transit expansion, a dream. Bridge repairs, forgotten. Neighborhood investment, a cruel joke. Emergency calls flood Thorne Industries switchboard. Every line goes to voicemail. The same recorded message, the same polite, corporate rejection. Mayor Thompson tries to call Silas Thorne directly. "Voicemail, Mr. Thorne, please call me back. I'm sure there's been some misunderstanding. I'm sure we can work something out. I'm sure." Silas Thorne doesn't call back. He sits in his opulent kitchen, sipping coffee, watching the morning news. Eleanor sits beside him, her hand resting on his arm. Neither of them speaks. There's nothing to say. The silence is heavy, filled with the weight of his power. Harmony Creek's morning anchors stumble through the breaking story, reading teleprompters rewritten just minutes ago. "We're still trying to understand what happened here. Sources tell us the withdrawal came without warning. They don't understand. Not yet. What happened was simple. A woman refused to compromise her dignity, and a man of immense power refused to let that stand." At 9 a.m., the city releases a revised budget projection. The $2.4 billion gap is highlighted in stark, unforgiving red. Journalists photograph it. The image goes viral within the hour. Aisha Kincaid is not at City Hall. Her office cites health reasons. No one believes it. At noon, she's spotted leaving her home, sunglasses obscuring most of her face. Hair unbound. She doesn't stop for the reporters camped on her lawn. She gets in her car and makes a call. "They're going to blame me. We need to fight this." The voice on the other end belongs to someone who has fought for justice in Harmony Creek for a very long time. Someone whose name will soon become a beacon of hope. Someone who isn't afraid to stand against the tide. At 3 p.m., Silas Thorne makes his only public appearance of the day. He steps outside Thorne Industries headquarters. Reporters surge forward, cameras flash, microphones thrust toward his face. He raises a hand, silencing the clamor. He says 5 words, each one a hammer blow. "Our capital goes where it's respected. That's business." He turns, walks back inside. The massive doors close behind him. No follow-up questions. No elaboration. No negotiation. Just a cold, final declaration of power. His daughter, Madison, texts him, "Dad." He replies, "This is just the beginning." He has no idea how right he is. By nightfall, the question shifts. It's no longer, "How did the money vanish?" Everyone knows how. The new question, burning brighter than any headline: "Why did Aisha Kincaid refuse to shake his hand?" And one journalist is already digging for the answer. Day 3. Harmony Creek is still reeling. The overnight vanishing dominates every headline, every talk show, every dinner table conversation. Economists calculate losses. Politicians point fingers. The city scrambles to find replacement funding that simply doesn't exist. Lena Hayes watches all of it. From her desk at the Harmony Creek Chronicle, she's been an investigative reporter for 15 years, starting at a small paper in the rural South. She worked her way up through sheer, unyielding persistence. Pulitzer nominee twice, never won. But that's not why she does this. She's broken corruption stories in 3 states, exposed a sheriff running a protection racket, uncovered a pharmaceutical company hiding clinical trial deaths. She knows the difference between a scandal and a symptom of something far deeper. This handshake story, she tells her editor over lukewarm coffee, it feels like a symptom. Everyone's asking how the money vanished. Wrong question, she states, her eyes sharp. I'm asking why she didn't shake his hand. Her editor shrugs. Maybe she's just prejudiced, Lena. Maybe, Lena counters, her voice firm. But Aisha Kincaid has been on that council for 22 years. She's survived 3 mayors and 2 federal investigations. She doesn't make mistakes in public. Not like that. Lena Petrova didn't just stumble upon this. She hunted it. FOIA requests filed before dawn. Source calls made during lunch breaks. Contract databases pulled after midnight. 15 years of Viridian City's spending patterns. Downloaded to her personal drive. The first whisper surfaced on day 5. Serafina Thorne's communications. With city procurement, obtained through a FOIA request that was almost buried. Heavily redacted. But enough remained. Damning, coded language, careful phrasing, the insidious vocabulary of discrimination, cloaked in professional attire. We need people who understand Viridian City's way of doing things. Certain contractors may not be the right fit for this project. Consider the optics of this particular partnership. The pattern emerged, slowly at first. Then, like a thunderclap, it became terrifyingly clear. Black-owned firms systematically scored lower in bid evaluations. Not by much, just enough to lose. 2 or 3 points on a 100-point scale. Just enough to justify giving the contract to someone else. Lena pulled 10 years of contract award data. 347 contracts, each over $1 million. The numbers screamed. 94% went to white-owned firms. Despite Viridian City's Minority Business Enterprise Program, despite the city's public commitments to diversity, despite the glossy press releases, the staged photo ops, and the hollow speeches about equity, the MBE program, a phantom, real enough to cite in grant applications, but only for small contracts, landscaping, janitorial services, crumbs. But the major infrastructure work, the bridges, the highways, the transit centers, the projects that build generational wealth, that money flowed to preferred vendors, always the same names, always the same families. On day 12, Lena tracked down Walter Hayes, a retired city contracts officer, 55 years old, living in a modest house outside Viridian City. 23 years in procurement. He knew where the bodies were buried. At first, he refused. I have a pension. I have a family. Lena waited. She was a master of patience. They met at a diner off I-85. Cracked vinyl booths. Coffee that tasted like yesterday's regrets. Fluorescent lights that drained the color from every face. Walter looked tired, but also relieved, like he'd been waiting for someone to ask. Scores were adjusted after submission. He whispered. The words came slowly, heavy with years of silence. Criteria changed retroactively. Weights shifted. Everyone knew, no one said anything. Walter stared into his coffee. The cup trembled slightly in his hands. I had a family, a pension, a mortgage. I told myself it wasn't my fight. He paused, took a ragged breath. But that's not the whole story. Lena leaned forward. What do you mean? It wasn't just Serafina. She's not the top. She takes orders. Lena's eyes narrowed. From who? Walter pulled a napkin from the dispenser, borrowed her pen. He drew a circle. The Viridian Circle. 6 families, 40 years, billions of dollars. Their names scrawled in blue ink on a paper napkin. Thorne, Preston, Whitmore, Barrett, Hamilton, Crawford. They don't meet in public. They don't leave paper trails. No emails, no texts that can be subpoenaed. They rotate through board positions, city commissions, business associations, charitable foundations, hospital boards, university trustees. The power changes hands, but it never leaves the circle. Serafina Thorne's role, finance committee gatekeeper. Her father's seat before her. Her grandfather's influence before that. How far back does this go? Walter shook his head. At least 1985. Maybe earlier. Maybe all the way back. Lena spent the next week in the archives. The dusty, forgotten basement of City Hall. Faded paper. City records from the 1980s. Rejected bids. Denied contracts. The paperwork of 1,000 small defeats. She was looking for patterns. She found something else. September 3, 1986. A rejected bid for a school construction project. A small contractor. 15 years of documented experience. Clean safety record. Competitive pricing. The company name, Samuel Vance Construction LLC. Samuel Vance, Elijah's father. Rejection reason, typed on city letterhead. Does not meet experience requirements. 15 years of experience. Didn't meet requirements. The logic didn't hold. It was never supposed to. The signature at the bottom of the rejection letter. Harrison Thorne, Finance Committee Chair, Serafina's father. Lena read the name 3 times. Checked the date. Checked the signature. Checked everything twice. Then she picked up the phone. Mr. Vance, I need to show you something. It's about your father. Elijah met her that evening. A private office, no staff, no cameras, just 2 people, and 1 piece of paper. She slid the 1986 letter across the table. Elijah picked it up. City letterhead. His father's company name. Typed in faded ink. Rejected. Signed by a dead man, whose daughter had just refused to shake his hand. He held the letter for a long time. Didn't speak. His thumb traced the edge of the paper. He looked at his father's watch. The one Samuel wore for 30 years. The one he left behind with a lesson. Elijah was only now beginning to understand. Time reveals everything, Elijah said quietly. He said that his whole life. Every time he lost a bid, every time he got passed over, he'd just shrug and say, "Time reveals everything, son." He set the letter down. I never understood what he meant. He understands now. Dad, they did this to you too. The next morning, the Viridian Chronicle screams the truth. Systemic exclusion. How Viridian cities' contracts fail. Black-owned businesses. Just 12 hours later, a second article drops, exposing the Obsidian Council, 6 families. 40 years, billions in contracts. Federal investigators take notice. Within the week, the Department of Justice launches a preliminary inquiry. Subpoenas are drafted. High-powered lawyers are hired. Phones ring relentlessly in the opulent mansions across Viridian City. The council's response, delivered by a PR firm charging $1,000 an hour. Baseless conspiracy theories from a disgruntled billionaire seeking revenge. But the receipts are piling up, and Anya Sharma, the relentless journalist, isn't finished. 40 years, 6 families. And Elijah Vance just discovered his own father was their first victim. If you're still with us, drop a comment. Did you see the Obsidian Council coming? Elijah knows the truth now, but the council won't let him tell it. They're about to remind him what they do to anyone who dares threaten their dominion. Within 48 hours of that first article, the council activates its network. This is their playbook. This is what they've always done when challenged. They don't defend. They attack. For decades, they've perfected it. It begins with the media, a coordinated assault across multiple outlets. The Veridian Daily runs an op-ed on day 14, Elijah Vance, activist, investor, or opportunist. The framing is insidious, accusations vague enough to avoid lawsuits, a billionaire playing the race card for personal gain, an attack on Veridian City's most respected institutions, hurting the very community he claims to champion. Talking heads appear on local news, former city officials with impressive titles, reciting rehearsed talking points, business leaders with old money and older grievances, all echoing the same message: Elijah Vance is the problem, not the solution. Anya Sharma's editor receives calls from concerned advertisers, major corporations, old Veridian money. The message is polite, yet devastating. Balance your coverage or lose your funding. Then come the threats. On day 15, a letter appears at Vance Holdings headquarters. No return address. Hand-delivered under the cloak of night. Security cameras show nothing but shadows inside. A single, typed sheet. No signature. Just 2 chilling lines. Know your place. Veridian City was fine before you. It'll be fine after you're gone. Elijah reads it once, hands it to his security team. He doesn't mention it to Eleanor. His home address has been public for years. That's not new. What's new is the suffocating feeling that someone is always watching. Anonymous calls flood Vance Holdings client list. Blocked numbers, distorted voices. The same insidious question: do you really want to be associated with this controversy? One by one, smaller partners begin to distance themselves. Lunches are canceled. Emails go unanswered. The silence spreads like a disease, but the council doesn't stop at business. Day 16. Maya Vance's phone explodes. Unknown numbers. Blocked calls. Voicemails that make her skin crawl. Text messages from accounts created minutes before. That night, a screenshot surfaces on a dark forum. White supremacist adjacent. Plausible deniability. Maya's personal information, laid out like a target. Home address. Phone number. Her class schedule at Sterling University. A photo from her Instagram. A map showing the exact route from her dorm to her first class. The comments beneath are vile, threatening, racist, terrifyingly detailed. Day 18. Maya walks to her constitutional law class. A group forms around her near the quad. 6 or 7 people, students she doesn't recognize. They follow her. They close in. Your dad's a race hustler. Go back to where you came from. Does he know you're out here all alone? Maya doesn't run. She doesn't cry. She doesn't speed up or slow down. She stops, turns, looks at them, one by one, makes eye contact with each person, memorizes each face. Then she stares, doesn't blink, doesn't speak, just stares, a silent, defiant stand. Campus security arrives 3 minutes later. Someone called. The crowd disperses, muttering excuses. The video spreads within hours. Mixed reactions online. Outrage from supporters. She asked for it, from the other side. Elijah sees the video in his office that evening. His hands shake. For the first time in this entire fight, his hands shake. Eleanor stands in the doorway, voice tight, eyes wet. This has to stop. They're going after our daughter. Elijah's instinct screams, end it. Protect Maya. Settle quietly. Walk away. Take the loss. Save the family. But there's more. The same day, Anya Sharma calls Elijah. I need to ask you about something, and I need you to be honest with me. An audit document has surfaced. Vance Holdings subcontractor, Davis Construction. Labor violations discovered in a routine review. $1.2 million in unpaid overtime to workers, many of them Black and Latino, exploited by a company you hired. Elijah didn't know. He runs a vast organization. He can't review every subcontractor personally. But it's his company, his responsibility, his name. They're going to use this against you, Anya says carefully. They're already preparing the story. It drops tomorrow. He's not perfect. He profited from exploitation too. Senator Thorne's office released a statement within hours, a chillingly swift denial, as if they'd been waiting for the moment to strike. The very architect of community values lectures us, while her own contractors exploit the most vulnerable. The stench of hypocrisy is suffocating. The walls are closing in. Elijah has 24 hours before the subcontractor scandal explodes nationwide. His daughter, Maya, is now a target. His integrity is under siege. His allies are scattering. And for the first time, the thought of surrender, of quitting, whispers in his mind. Day 20. Elijah reviews the audit of Apex Solutions. The file is not just thick. It's a ledger of broken lives. The numbers scream. Workers underpaid, overtime stolen, cries for help ignored. Vulnerable souls exploited by a company he trusted. A company that carried his name, his reputation. His team gathers, a grim assembly in his office. Chief counsel, CFO, head of HR. They've rehearsed their lines, damage control, legal maneuvers. A narrative of plausible deniability. We can spin this. We were victims too. Apex Solutions deceived us. Elijah shakes his head, a slow, deliberate motion. We profited. That makes us complicit. His voice cuts through the corporate jargon. Terminate them, now, and establish a compensation fund. Every worker who was exploited gets what they're owed, plus 20%. He signs the termination order himself, a signature of defiance. Apex Solutions gone. The cost, $40 million in active projects, delays across 3 states. Penalty clauses triggered. Clients demanding answers. Lawyers sharpening their pens. The fallout is immense. Lena, his CFO, her voice tight with fear, whispers, Elijah, this will shatter us. He looks up, his gaze unwavering. It should. That night, he drafts a public statement. No excuses, no blame shifting, no legal loopholes. Just raw, unvarnished truth. We failed to properly vet a subcontractor. Workers were harmed. That responsibility is ours. Here's how we will make it right. Lena reads over his shoulder, her brow furrowed. You're making yourself a target. He meets her gaze. I'm making myself honest. Day 21, 11:30 p.m. Elijah sits alone in his home office. His father's watch rests on the desk. The faded 1986 rejection letter beside it. Moonlight paints silver stripes across the floor. The house is silent, save for the relentless tick-tock of the clock. He's cleansed his own house, cut out the rot, but Maya is still in the crosshairs. The hunt continues. The walls are still closing in. He picks up the phone, his hand trembling slightly, and calls his daughter. Hey, sweetheart. How are you holding up? Maya's voice, a little too bright, answers, I'm fine. Dad, really, don't worry about me. He takes a deep, ragged breath, the hardest words he's ever had to utter. I'm pulling back, settling quietly. I can't let them keep hurting you. A long, agonizing silence stretches across the line. Dad, Maya's voice is barely a whisper. I've made my point. Your grandfather would understand. More silence. He can hear her breathing, steady at first, then catching. Then Maya's voice returns. Quiet, then hardening to steel. Don't you dare stop, Dad, if you quit now. They win twice. They beat Grandpa. They kept him small his whole life. And now, they beat you. They're coming after you because of me. I know exactly why they're coming after me. And I'm not hiding. I'm a Vance. We don't break. We don't bend. We don't run. Elijah can't speak. His throat is tight with emotion. Dad, Grandpa didn't raise you to quit, and you didn't raise me to watch you quit. Her words hang in the air, echoing his father's wisdom, amplified by his daughter's fierce resolve. Finish it, for Grandpa. For me. For everyone they're going to do this to after us, if someone doesn't stop them now. Elijah looks at the watch on the desk. The second hand ticks, steady as a heartbeat, steady as his father's voice in his memory. Okay, he picks up the watch, slides it onto his wrist. The weight of it, the warmth of it, the history of it. Okay, we keep going. Promise me, I promise. Maya's voice softens, a fragile thread of love. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. Now go get some sleep. I'm a Viridian University student, Dad. We don't sleep. Despite everything. Despite all of it, a small laugh escapes him. Lena appears in the doorway, sees his face, sees the watch back on his wrist. She sits beside him, takes his hand. What did she say? She said Grandpa didn't raise me to quit. Lena nods slowly, a knowing smile gracing her lips. She's right. Elijah looks at the watch. Midnight. A new day. Time reveals everything. But this time, he says it like a vow. His daughter just told him not to quit. His father's watch is on his wrist, and he's about to find out what 40 years of systemic secrets look like in the harsh light of day. Tomorrow, Maya Vance is going to show the world what a Vance looks like under pressure. Day 25. The Viridian City Black Business Coalition meets. A private conference room. Security at the door. No press allowed. Aisha Khan presides. She's known Elijah for 20 years. Known the system for far longer. 34 business owners sit around the table. Contractors who build hospitals. Suppliers who stock schools. Service providers who keep the city running. The invisible backbone of Viridian City's economy. Many of them have their own Senator Thorne stories. Rejected bids. Ignored proposals. Meetings canceled at the last minute. Deals that mysteriously fell through. For reasons no one would ever explain. They've never told these stories publicly. Too risky. Too costly. Too much to lose. Until now, Aisha calls the vote. It's unanimous. A thunderclap of solidarity. Every name, every company, every voice in Veritas City united. We stand with Elijah Vance. His fight is our fight. Veritas City's system is broken. It's time to fix it. The statement blazed across the front page of the Veritas Chronicle. By noon, it was a national wildfire. The New York Times, the Washington Post, NPR, the story was everywhere. Calls flooded in from Atlanta, Memphis, Birmingham, Detroit. We have the same problem. How do we fix ours? On day 26, 3 more business owners stepped into the spotlight at a Veritas Chronicle press conference. Their stories, a haunting echo. Dismissive glances in meetings, coded rejections in emails, not the right fit, doesn't meet requirements. Consider other options. The insidious vocabulary of exclusion, repeated for decades. Marcus Thorne, a contractor who had built his legacy over 30 years, his voice raw with emotion. Put it simply, I watched that handshake video, and I saw my entire career flash before my eyes. Every rejection, every closed door, every time I was told I wasn't good enough. Now, I know why. It's not just Elijah anymore. It's all of us. Day 29. Amara Vance published an op-ed in the Veritas University Gazette, titled My Father's Hand. She wrote of growing up, watching her father work twice as hard, for half the respect, of the quiet dignity of a man who never complained, never excused, never stopped building. She spoke of her grandfather's watch, a symbol of generational resilience, and of choosing not to hide, even when doxxed and harassed. Her closing line echoed across the globe. They thought attacking me would break my father. They don't know the Vances. The Washington Post picked it up. The Atlantic, CNN, every major outlet. Amara appeared on national news. Interviewed live, composed under the glare of the cameras, fierce when challenged. 21 years old and unbreakable, the interviewer asked, "Are you afraid?" Amara's answer, a steel cord of defiance. Fear is what they're counting on. I don't give people what they count on. Day 30, the federal hammer dropped. The Department of Justice issued a formal notice of civil rights investigation. Not preliminary, formal. Subpoenas followed within hours. Federal marshals delivered them personally. The Citadel members began lawyering up. Expensive firms, national reputations, the kind of lawyers you hire when you know you're guilty. Eleanor Sterling was seen leaving a downtown law firm. A different car, tinted windows. She didn't stop for the cameras, didn't make eye contact with anyone. The walls were closing in. And then, day 33, Lena Khan, the Veritas Chronicle's investigative reporter, received a package, no return address. Postmark, Veritas City. Hand-delivered to the Tribune's front desk. Inside, a flash drive. And a handwritten note on plain paper. She said it herself, all of it. I can't stay silent anymore. Lena plugged in the flash drive. One file, audio_sterling_private_meeting.mp3, 9 minutes, 23 seconds. Dated March 2023, exactly 1 year before the handshake incident. She pressed play. Eleanor Sterling's voice filled the room, unmistakable. That chilling blend of inherited authority and casual condescension, perfected over 22 years. A private meeting, multiple speakers, the Citadel. They were discussing Vance Capital's earlier bid for a transit project, the one that got rejected, the one no one could explain. A male voice, Vance's numbers are solid. His firm has the capacity. It's hard to justify rejecting this bid. Eleanor Sterling's voice cut through the air. I don't care about his numbers. I'm not putting city money in the hands of people like that. Find another bidder. Someone we can work with. Another male voice, cautious Eleanor. Be careful how you. Eleanor, this is Veritas City. My Veritas City. My father's Veritas City. Those people can build their little businesses. Get their little contracts. Photo opportunities, ribbon cuttings. But the big money stays where it belongs. With the families who built this city. Not with some. Not with someone like him. The contempt in her voice was unmistakable. Someone like him. The pause before she said it. The way she spat out the words. The recording continued. 9 minutes and 23 seconds of Veritas City's power structure. Discussing how to manipulate a bidding system. Specific scores, specific adjustments, specific outcomes, laughter, casual. Like they were planning a golf outing. Like they'd done this 100 times. Because they had. The same package contained documents, financial records, shell company registrations, bank transfers, Sovereign Holdings Group, registered to a law firm, but funds flowing directly to the Preston family. Veritas Development Consortium, on paper an independent contractor, in reality a pass-through for the Whitmores. The Veritas Legacy Foundation, a charitable organization that had never filed public finances. 40 years of receipts, all in one envelope. Someone inside the Citadel had decided to talk. Lena called her editor. I need legal to clear this tonight, whatever it takes. The audio forensics team worked through the night. Specialists flown in from New York. No edits, no splices, no signs of manipulation. The recording was authentic. Day 34. The story published. Front page. Above the fold, the website crashed twice from traffic. Eleanor Sterling's private words. Audio reveals discriminatory scheme. Audio clips embedded in the article. Everyone could hear it for themselves. Her voice, her words, her contempt. Eleanor Sterling's response came within hours. A prepared statement, paired with legal letterhead. This recording has been doctored and taken wildly out of context. This is nothing more than a witch hunt, orchestrated by those who seek to divide our community. The Citadel issued a joint denial through the same PR firm, same language, the same insidious playbook, a calculated assault on Liberty City's burgeoning black enterprises. But the voice, chillingly clear, was hers, the documents undeniable, and the city, once divided, had found its unified voice. Elias Vance listened to the recording, just once. In the quiet sanctity of his office, door sealed against the world, he didn't need to hear it again. Once was enough. His gaze fell to his father's watch. The same timepiece Arthur Vance wore when the rejection letter, a death knell to his dreams, arrived in 1986. The same watch that clung to his wrist, a silent testament, until his last breath. Time, he knew, was the ultimate revealer, and its hour had come. His spokesperson issued a statement, brief, dignified, yet unyielding. The truth, like a river, always finds its way to the surface. We await the City Council's next steps with unwavering resolve. The Liberty City Council, under immense public pressure, called an emergency session. A public hearing, promised for day 40, with full transparency. Senator Evelyn Thorne's phone went silent. Marcus, her chief of staff, abruptly resigned. Personal reasons, the official line read, no further comment. Across Liberty City, 6 families, their lives irrevocably altered, made calls to the most formidable legal minds money could buy. The hearing was set for 7 days hence. and Senator Evelyn Thorne, once untouchable, was running out of allies and out of time. Day 40. Council chamber be the same hallowed room, the same imposing mahogany table, the same towering windows that had witnessed decades of power plays. But the air crackled with a different energy. The public gallery was packed, a human tide. 20 minutes before the doors officially opened, overflow crowds spilled into the hallways. Security doubled, then tripled. 52,000 souls watched, breathless, on the live stream. National press, credentialed and ravenous, positioned their lenses, a forest of cameras. Elias Vance sat in the gallery. Third row, Dr. Eleanor Vance's hand a steady anchor in his. Dr. Maya Vance, having flown in from Duke overnight, sat on his other side. 3 generations of Vances, bearing witness. Senator Evelyn Thorne, a figure of icy composure, took her place at the witness table. Her expensive suit, a shield, her makeup meticulously applied. Her attorney, a silent sentinel, legal pad poised. The circle members, a shadowy cabal, watched from the gallery. 3 present, 2 conspicuously absent, all represented by counsel. The evidence, a torrent of truth, began to flow. Investigator Lena Hayes testified. The meticulous investigation, the undeniable document authentication, the ironclad chain of custody. Elder Samuel Jenkins, his voice a tremor of history, spoke of 23 years of forced silence, 40 years of systemic corruption, names, dates, staggering amounts. Then the audio, 9 minutes, 23 seconds. Senator Thorne's voice, a venomous whisper, filled the chamber. Every word, every calculated pause, every dismissive laugh. Those people, someone like him. The big money stays where it belongs. No one spoke. No one dared to move. The chamber, a tomb of silence, save for her voice, echoing off the hallowed walls, a chilling indictment. 3 victim business owners, their faces etched with years of struggle, testified. 15 years of a cruel pattern, rejection after rejection, career after career, dream after dream, systematically crushed. The 1986 letter was entered into evidence. Exhibit J. Arthur Vance's name, a ghost from the past. Senator Harrison Thorne's signature, a chilling echo. Father to father, generation to generation. Thorne's attorney, a desperate last stand, objected. Overruled, objected again, overruled. A third objection, met with stony silence. The council chair, her face grim, invited Senator Thorne to make a statement before the vote. She spoke for 11 minutes, every word a honed weapon, every gesture a calculated performance. Witch hunt, billionaire with a grudge, political theater, my father's legacy. 22 years of service, friendships across all communities. She offered no apology. She offered no explanation for the recording. She did not, could not, utter Arthur Vance's name. The vote was called, removal from Finance Committee chair. The first count, 6-5, in favor of Senator Thorne. A collective gasp tore through the gallery. A lone shout. Security moved, a ripple of tension. Elias's face was stone, his grip on Eleanor's hand bone white. Maya whispered, "It's not over, Dad." Then a lifeline, a procedural challenge from the floor. Councilwoman Anya Sharma, her voice clear and firm. One vote was unclear, counted incorrectly. A recount is requested. 30 seconds of agonizing silence, the longest 30 seconds of Elias Vance's life. The council chair, her gavel hanging heavy, declared, "We will take a 15-minute recess before the final vote." During the recess, Thorne conferred with her attorney, hushed, frantic tones. The circle members watched from the gallery, their faces masks of indifference, but their eyes, cold and calculating. Something passed between them. A look, a silent decision, a betrayal, and then a profound shift in Senator Thorne's expression. Fear, raw and primal, then something far more dangerous. The session resumed. The council chair, her gaze fixed on Thorne. "Senator Thorne, do you have any final statement before we proceed?" Thorne rose slowly, her eyes sweeping the gallery, settling on the men who had built her, then abandoned her. The men who had taught her the game, and were now content to watch her burn alone. "Yes," she said, her voice cutting through the tension. "I have something to say." Her attorney reached for her arm, a desperate plea. She shrugged him off, a venomous glare. You want to know who really controls this city? I'll tell you, I'm not going down alone. She named them, one by one. Silas Blackwood, Reginald Sterling, Julian Croft. She laid bare the clandestine meetings, the illicit payments, the intricate web of the system. 40 years of it. My father built this empire. I inherited it. I maintained it, and I am done. Protecting the very people who were going to let me fall alone. Chaos erupted. The circle members, faces contorted in fury, were escorted out. Security swarmed, shouting. Cameras flashed, a blinding storm. The council chair hammered her gavel, calling for order, again. Finally, a fragile silence. The final vote, 9-2. Removal from all committee positions. A secondary vote, 8-3. Criminal referral to the district attorney. For Senator Evelyn Thorne and 3 named circle members, the gavel fell. A thunderclap of justice. Elias didn't move. Maya took his hand, her eyes shining. We did it, Dad. He looked at his father's watch. It's ticking now, a rhythm of triumph. The clock's relentless march. Somewhere, Elijah Vance is watching. Day 45. Viridia City Council passes the Viridia Contracting Transparency Ordinance, a unanimous, thunderous vote. No opposition. Blind bid reviews, diverse oversight panels, public audits, whistleblower protections, mandatory disclosure of family ties between city officials and contractors. The bill is named the Elijah Vance Fair Contracting Act. Marcus never asked for that. The council insisted. Councilwoman Thorne resigns from the council the very next morning. A federal investigation is ongoing. Federal charges are imminent. Her mansion goes on the market within a week. 3 key members of the Obsidian Syndicate are under criminal investigation. Civil suits filed. Assets frozen, pending review. The Preston family issues a defiant statement, denying everything. Their lawyer bills are reportedly $40,000 a week. The Obsidian Syndicate's iron grip is broken. Not erased, but broken. Dr. Lena Hayes consults on reform implementation. She sleeps through the night now. The first time in years. Simone Du Bois wins the State Journalism Award. She donates the prize money to a scholarship fund for investigative reporters. Marcus's office. Late afternoon. Golden light pours through floor-to-ceiling windows. The Viridia skyline he helped build glitters in the distance. Maya is there. 2 months until graduation. Law school application submitted. Every school she applied to has accepted her. Law, Maya, Marcus asks. A knowing smile playing on his lips. Someone has to make sure this doesn't happen again. He smiles. Your grandfather would be so proud. I know, she replies, her voice firm. That's why I'm doing it. I should text dinner at 7. Don't be late, both of you. Marcus looks at his father's watch. Maya notices. Do you think he's at peace now, Grandpa Elijah? Marcus considers the question. 40 years. 1 letter. 1 watch, 1 fight. I think he's been at peace for a while, Maya. He knew. He always knew it would come out eventually. Maya nods slowly. Time reveals everything. That's what he used to say. I know. She pauses, her eyes alight with a familiar fire. But sometimes time needs a push. Marcus laughs. The first real, unrestrained laugh in weeks. She is her grandfather's granddaughter, indeed. He stands, puts on his jacket, checks the watch one more time. Some fights you fight for yourself. Some you fight so the next generation won't have to. He looks at Maya. She's already fighting. Time to build something new. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever stood where they didn't want you to stand, I'd like to hear about it. Drop a comment, like if this one hit different. And subscribe if you want more stories where the truth surfaces, where one voice can shake an entire system. Thanks for staying with this one. I'll see you in the next story of courage.